Putting the spotlight on local businesses in the capital city. This is 402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish on 1499.3 KLIN.
Hey, Lincoln, it's Travis Filing with Transformation Marketing. With me is Gary Tharnish from Home Design Real Estate Group. Got a shorty today. We're just doing a little business lesson in the news. How you doing today, Gary?
I am doing good. I love doing the prep on this one. It's going to be a really good little discussion here.
I'm kind of loving these little 30-minute shows.
Yeah.
I really do. Even though it's kind of like, oh man, that's a third. But it's so much fun because we can get a good little piece of information out, and then we get to go home.
We know you listen to these little news pieces, or I hear about them because I don't really listen to news that much anymore. And you think oftentimes you just forget the takeaway from it. Like, what is the lesson here? What's the blessing here or whatever? Amy, our team lead, always talks about if you have a transaction that goes south or a really difficult client or something, your nephew uses somebody else to buy a house instead of you, like it's easy to get upset. But she's always like, well, what's a blessing in it? Always look for the blessing. And that's a good thing to do with these stories too. There's something to learn in all of them.
Absolutely.
They can sound negative sometimes or just kind of like, hey, this is the latest, greatest thing. Be sure you do it. And you can miss so much stuff, as with this story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In this story, this is, I was just reading something. It was a CNBC story, and they were talking about selling a business because the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill. I should get my son in here. He does a great Trump impersonation.
BBB.
But there is something good. I think there's a lot of things good in that bill. But one of them is the tax breaks for selling a business. And I start looking through it and go, okay, now all these things are very limited time-wise because every time a new president comes in, they're going to start redlining the things that they don't like that the last guy did.
Yeah.
That's our system. So now we have 3 more years of this administration. Plus you're going to get about a year afterward because usually they're not going to redline it right away.
Right. Well, I read, did I read something? I might get this wrong.
You probably will.
But there are parts, something like, hey, what's new? So, but there is something I read that there's several items in this bill, several things within this bill that in order to be reversed, actually revoked, have to have like 2/3 majority of Congress.
Oh, all right.
And that's tough. It's not the whole thing, but there were certain things.
Certain parts of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But you are right. Usually it's like, well, you've had your business how many years? 20? A long
24 years.
20.
Yeah.
I had my business 38, right?
Yeah.
After like 10, 15 years, I got tired of making decisions based on the tax law because I knew 3 years from now, 2 years from now, someone else comes in and it's just the opposite of what you did. You did something to save and now you're losing because you did it. And that's one thing about our government, the lack of continuity that I don't like when it comes to taxes and stuff, because business survives great on certainty, right?
Yes.
The uncertainty is just so, I don't know. And that's probably for somebody that's had business longer, like you have and like I had. But in this article that we'll get into here quick, one of the things you pointed out that as I was reading, I go, yeah, that's a really good point, is just those quick decisions based on the latest, greatest news of today. And so I'm going to do this.
Right. Well, see, the thing that I took away from this was not so much in selling a business and trying to beat the tax man, because that's a game. That's a day one decision, is you're trying to beat the tax man.
Yeah.
All the way until the last day, you're trying to beat the tax man, and spoiler alert, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Because and
you're taxed when you're dead.
Yes. But what it did tell me is you got to have a plan in place. As soon as you start a business, I'm not saying have an exit strategy right away, but you need to start thinking about it because you never know when that opportunity is going to come up. A great example is my buddy Troy, and I've got to get him on this show for a couple of reasons. He's got a new business, which is really cool, but he used to own all the Papa John's in Nebraska, and he had no intention of selling. But then all of a sudden, he always had a plan, right? He always had, well, if somebody comes and offers you stupid money for something, everything is for sale.
That's right.
Right. And so he always had that plan laid out.
Yeah.
And then back when interest rates dropped like 2.5%, 3%, well, you could get money so cheap that people were overpaying to buy businesses because it's cheap money.
Right.
And so somebody came up and said, hey, we want to buy Omaha and we will pay you X amount of money. And he's like, God, I can't pass that up. He called me up. He's like, because he and I talk business all the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you think? And it's like part of me, we're marketing those stores for him. I'm going, gosh, I hate to see that business go, but man, Troy, you'd be a fool if you pass this up.
Exactly.
That's huge money.
Yeah.
And so he sold it. And then the interest rate just kept tanking. And then pretty soon they came back in and they said, hey, we want to buy your Lincoln stores. And they actually paid him more than they paid for the Omaha stores because the money got so cheap.
And that's just crazy.
But he could take advantage of it because he had a plan in place. And that's the lesson that I see when I read this going, start planning your exit strategy.
Yeah.
Because somebody out there may want to buy your business.
So basically the article is about the fact that with this tax change, there's a bunch of businesses that are going, it's the time to sell. Let's sell now. Let's sell. Where we're coming at it from an angle of always be prepared to sell. So that when you're not scrambling. There's going to be a lot of these businesses that are scrambling. Interest rates are not necessarily really low now, although historically they are. But in people's minds, they won't think so. And there's probably going to be a lot of bad decisions made, bad timing. Timing's everything. We had Echo Bell in here, remember, from Bell Solutions?
Oh, yeah.
The CFO. And I use her. And her two big things are compliance and current. So that at any point in time, you are constantly turning your work in. If you're hearing about it, weekly at a minimum. All the stuff that needs to be done goes to her, receipts, the whole ball of wax. So that at any point in time, if you need your numbers, they're right there. For most people, they're like, well, I file my taxes, maybe I even get an extension. Eventually I file them and then I have numbers. But it's shocking how many business owners don't ever really sit down with their accountant and go over their numbers or a plan.
Yeah.
But it is all about planning. But it to me was really shocking how many people obviously don't do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that we learned only recently. Because we were those people. File an extension. We're going to kick this can down the road. April 15th doesn't mean anything to me other than to file for an extension. Because I've never paid my taxes, quote unquote, on time.
Yeah.
But when you have an accountant, when you have the wrong accountant, every time you pick up the phone, the meter's running, which is, I get it.
Yeah.
But you also need to take into consideration how much it's costing you. Are they up to speed? They're going to charge you extra if you're paying to make sure that every time, right, I pick up the phone, I want to know where I'm at. Well, they're going to have to dedicate a little more time to it.
And if you're not doing your numbers weekly, monthly at a minimum, you go to do your taxes and then it's like you need to go back 6-7 months and find receipts or add this, or you're like, oh gosh, I donated $2,000 to the lead. That's not in here yet. I got to go find that receipt. I got to do this. I got to do that. Whereas if you're doing it consistently, it's at your fingertips, which makes all the difference in the world. It was, I'm ashamed to say, probably 19, 20 years before I ever got any really good, solid tax advice from an accountant because I was always unprepared.
Yeah. Oh, that's us.
Honestly.
That was us up until this year, literally.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we were, and it is and it's so important. I know we're getting off topic, but I think this is important too, is making sure you have that good accountant on your team. Because I mean, when we started out, when you hang out your shingle, you don't need an accountant because you have no money to account for.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone said one time, if you have a psychiatrist and an accountant that are always telling you what you want to hear, you need to find new people.
I've always said, I want an accountant that's done prison time for doing accounting.
Oh my God, I love it. No kidding. There you go. That's a good one right there. Well, it's like the hoarder guy I talked to, and he's like, and I was like, I said, honestly, really, this, you just need to get help. You cannot live like this. And he goes, oh, I've been seeing a counselor for 12 years. I go, and you need to get rid of that counselor.
Need to move on.
First thing you need to do.
Need to move on. But yeah, it is so important to be prepared for anything that comes at you in business. And that includes selling.
Yeah.
So that's what really got me on this particular one. And, we had talked about everything has a window and there's timing, and kind of like Troy, he was prepared. It's the old saying, like when the music stops, you better be having a chair to sit down on or you're out. Because if you miss that window, you're toast. You're gone.
Or no cake for you if it's a cakewalk.
Now, when you were selling your business, were you prepared? Were you fully planning, prepared?
I had been wanting to sell for several years.
About 37 of those.
Yeah, right.
Years.
I know, right, from the day I opened. And it was no great big news to me. What really worked out the best in my situation was that COVID had hit, but I had, in the previous 5 years, I had talked to a couple of the businesses in town that I knew might be interested, and they were both very interested. So they were like, when it's ready, let us know. So that worked out very good to my advantage.
That's nice. So you always had somebody, not necessarily on the hook, so to speak, but always somebody on alert. Going,
it's kind of like that property now that's off market.
Yeah.
You know, or you can put the word out, hey, I have a property coming up in Capitol Beach that is XYZ. If anybody has interest, let me know. Great, right? So before the people even list, they can find out, hey, is there somebody wanting, it's a good idea to do it that way. This case, you have this law coming into effect. So you have all these people that are just going to rush and try to sell their businesses really quick. And that's not, and they don't sound, a lot of them, like they're prepared. Right. It's like, oh, great tax situation. Oh, I'm going to sell. That's when you get screwed.
Yep. That's exactly it. One thing that we've talked about is, trying to have a tax plan or a tax strategy. That's a tool for your business. It's not a one and done type thing. It's something you need to just like you were saying earlier. The rules keep changing.
That's a living, breathing document for sure.
Yep. And
unlike the Constitution, it changes all the time.
All the time. And no matter what you're going to lose, you just want to make sure you lose as little as possible
at the proper time.
Yes. I've said, when we started our business, you have a partner. Even if you're a sole proprietor, you have a partner, and that partner is the government, and that government is going to take a big chunk of money out of your business. But when it comes time to getting ready to sell your business, and you can speak to this more than me because you've sold a business, I have not. But the first question you have to ask yourself is, if you disappeared, I have a file, literally have a file in my office called When Travis Gets Hit by a Truck, right?
Right.
And that's what it's called. You pull out Travis Gets Hit by a Truck, and you open it up and you flip through, and it's all the things that you have to do to keep my portion of the business going when I get hit by a truck. Now, it would be hilarious if I die being hit by a truck because I predicted this for 20 some odd years. But if you left tomorrow, would your business run without you?
Yeah.
And I mean, were you in that situation?
Well, I would tell you purposely at the end when I sold it, no, but that was planned and purposeful. But from 94 up until 2018, yes.
Yeah.
It would have been fine. It took hiring a good coach that I had for about a year that helped me get it together so that we did have an exit plan, or if I was suddenly died in a plane crash or whatever, then it would be, how to operate. But towards the time when I was getting ready to sell, it was kind of planned to be more just me. Like literally if something would have happened, it would have been a big problem, I guess you would say, but I took my chances. But yeah, it's important to have that. And most business owners don't.
They don't.
It's also a reason I think a lot of business owners don't succeed, because they're a little nervous to hand the reins over to somebody else, feeling like, well, if I'm doing everything, I know it's done to 100%.
Right.
And the thing is, you hand it over. Somebody might do it to 80% of what you do it. But that other 20% they bring to the table could be a whole heck of a lot of stuff you didn't think about that furthers the success of your business. But the idea of being able to make sure your business can run if something happens to you is vitally important.
Yeah, because if you don't and you sell your business, then you are going to be working in that business for somebody else because it'll be part of your contract.
Yeah. I just saw a Facebook post the other day, a friend of mine that has a business that said, finally got away. It's been 6 years and I'm spending 3 days in wherever he was in Colorado. And it's so nice to get away. And I thought, you're just not running your business well. I mean, the guy's successful, so I don't want to necessarily word it that way. I just mean, I don't know. I don't want to say the words work, life, and balance in the same phrase. Sorry about that, Travis. But the point being, if you can't get away from your business for a while, there's a problem. Because then what if you do get hit by that truck or your plane crashes or something and you're gone and your business isn't going to run?
Yep.
So we laugh in real estate because we go, if you're slow, just take a vacation. You're swamped. So I kind of like that because I like vacations. So traveling is a good thing, but it is important and it's something that's not done. I think even more appropriate for discussion is just what I brought up before the break, which is the lack of preparation at any point in time to have your books in solid enough order that if something happens, you get hit by a truck. Yeah, there's a folder saying how it continues, but there also needs to be a financial statement and print out that day that's pretty darn current and compliant.
Yeah. And something too, if whoever's listening now, if you didn't happen to listen to Tim Kirkpatrick when we had him on, we should have him on again. He was such a wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
But he had books and he said, when you take, there's always going to be a little something that you take for yourself. And you write that down in your books, like, Travis gets a car or we're making his payment or whatever it is, that you can show, well, the business is paying for this. So that would be cash flow coming to you as a buyer.
Yeah, I have a friend wanting to sell her business and chatted with her a couple months ago. Well, maybe June. I don't know. What time is it now?
I don't know.
Whatever. Recently, I spoke with her and she's like, oh my gosh. She goes, we had a valuation done on my business and I was shocked. And I said, good shock or bad? She goes, bad. She goes, I mean, what we can get for our business is that. And as we had the discussion, I knew a lot of what she was doing. And I said, so the things that were fantastic, like, I'll give you this in trade for this from your business. You were doing a whole lot of that. Doesn't show up well on your books.
No, it does not.
Right. All the bartering that went on back and forth that wasn't written down, where it's like, it could look like sales would be great. If you look at the production, it looked great. But if you looked at the income base to that, half of it was trade for trade goods that weren't on the books.
Yeah.
Not good if you got to sell suddenly.
Right.
Right. So if you think this big tax break is fantastic, if you're going to get 60% of what your business is really worth, it's not.
Yeah.
And then also, is your business worth that much? Like if people weren't able to barter with you, you know, like you can get this widget for this price if you give me your widget for that price. If that wasn't happening, would you still really be that successful? Or are people getting your widget because it's a deal?
Yeah. Well, a great example. So Shannon and I are taking a vacation next year. We're going to Singapore and Bali, right?
Nice.
And I'm so jacked about it. But we
We're
also
be stuck here, David.
it'll be David and Gary doing the show. But we have several employees in the Philippines. And so
that's right. Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, that's something that, and Shannon facilitates a lot of that for businesses who need employees, who need help, consistent help, good help. Call Shannon at Transformation. She can help you facilitate that. Yeah. But so I started looking at that and I went, geez, we could do a stopover in the Philippines and we can go see. And now we have employees on a couple different islands. So on the way out, we're stopping in Manila and we're going to see, Nika and Nadine. And then we're going to go onto our vacation. Well, guess what now? Now we get to write that off. Well, the business is going to pay for not all of it, but some of it.
Sure.
But if I were to sell that business, people aren't going to see it. They're just going to go, man, you have a lot of travel expenses.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make sure you highlight those things and set it aside.
Yep.
Because
and be explained. Yeah.
You also have to make sure that you're doing training sessions and all that other stuff so you can legitimately write it off. But
well, and that comes back to the whole planning thing, right? So you're going to plan to sell. Hey, in the next 3-4 years, I want to plan to sell. So you're not going to do a lot of that. You're going to go, okay, let's keep everything on the books, so to speak. Not that you're doing anything illegal, but there's a lot of things you do for a tax write-off that you may not want to do if you're going to be selling your business because you want it to really look revenue heavy, correct?
Right.
And not expense heavy. And then that's exactly what's not going to happen now with these people. They're talking about this CNBC article who's like, oh, hey, we're going to get all these breaks now if we sell our business. Let's just sell. Well, if you're not prepared and you haven't really made your business look well, the first time I had the valuation where my business done was in 2014. Made a whole lot of changes after that because it was real eye-opening to me of, wow, okay, so I get where this is a big tax benefit for me, but in the long run, in selling, it's going to be a tax nightmare, or a revenue nightmare, and what I'm going to get for the cost of the bit for the value of the business.
Yeah.
Which is huge. In this case, this person's actually not selling their business, the one I was just talking about earlier, simply because of how bad it is, because of the amount of bartering and trade that they did.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a successful business. It's a successful business when you just look at it, but then when you dig into the numbers, it's like, whoa, like, oh, well, but if I didn't do this, it's like, yeah, but you did.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
For years,
Exactly. And here's something else, because I know our time is starting to get skinny. Make sure, like a lot of people have, their business plan is to hand it off to their kids. Make sure your kids like live, breathe, die. My kids, no interest in marketing. 0.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is A-okay with me.
Yeah.
Because people, the way I look at our business in particular, we have a lot of responsibility on our hands. One, we have a bunch of employees that are making, that need that paycheck.
Right.
And we have clients who are writing checks to us going, we send Travis a check and he sends us customers. And if you don't live, breathe, have that deep passion for marketing, you're really going to screw up some lives. And so if your plan is to hand it off to your kids, have a heart to heart and make sure that they know it's okay if you don't want to run this business. It's okay if you don't want to own this business, because I can sell this business and then there will be finances coming your way there. Yeah. As opposed to doing something that you don't want to do for a living.
Another interesting angle is complete opposite of what we're talking about, because we're talking about exiting a business. But when you're starting a business, think twice before you put your name on it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, Bob's Electric.
Right.
That's great, Bob. Yeah. Which I never put my name on my business. Right. I left it once I bought it, because I thought when I sell, if they mess it up, it's not my name.
Right.
And you see that with electric, the trades, you see it a lot. And then they sell the business, and Bob sells to a guy named John, and all of a sudden it's John Electric, which means nothing to the 25 years of people that are used to calling Bob's Electric, or they leave Bob's Electric and are horrible.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
those
like,
are
Bob
very
used
important.
to be a good guy, but now,
A great real life example of that is the Colonel, right?
Right.
The Colonel is gone. How many Colonel Sanders have we seen since then? And it's weird.
Yeah, very weird.
Although I did love, who is the Hamilton, the always tan guy?
Oh, yeah.
And they brought him out as the extra crispy Colonel.
Yeah, that was
funny.
Very funny.
But still, Colonel Sanders, they're trying to keep that alive because he was the face of the business forever.
Well, it was like the Cracker Barrel logo.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
The old cracker in the barrel.
Yeah.
Come on, Cracker, make me some flapjacks. Love it. I love it. Well, that was fun.
Yeah,
I always love doing these little shows.
Me too.
Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, the 402 Business Insider. Normally Saturdays from 10:30 to noon. Check it out. Go onto our website, 402insider.com. We'd love to have you. If you want to be a guest, go onto our website, fill out the form. We got guys coming in all the time. We'd love to have you. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.